Okay, so hello people. Is my volume okay? Hopefully it is. We should turn it up a little bit. So, it's been a pretty hectic week. I want to make this video if those who are interested want to know what is up. I finally got monetization eligibility, so now I can make pennies on your views. Lunch money, basically. But anyways, that'll be a separate video. So if you guys did not watch my previous video, I mentioned that my dad had colon cancer. So it's been a pretty hectic 2-ish weeks since it was like I came home and I saw these paperwork for like a scheduled surgery and stuff. And since I don't go to hospitals often, everything's pretty new to me. Like when I saw him get weighed, I didn't know that hospital scales were also the bed. So I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. I wanted to talk about caring for your parents. Maybe I'm out of the norm, because when my parents had me, my mom was 29 and my dad was like plus 8, so 36. 20 plus 8? No, 37 plus 9. Yeah. I remember one time my mom mentioned like her coworkers and saying how she had me pretty old when everyone else had their kids and they were like 18. So for me, my dad's retired now. He's been retired for like 2 years. So I pretty much been seeing him slowly become more, I don't know, turtle. I don't know the proper word, but basically his posture has changed a lot. He used to like stand up tall, now he's more slouchy. And since his activity has gone down, I think that's what contributed to his cancer, but I don't know for sure. I'm surprised it's not liver cancer because he's such an alcoholic, but that's probably the next thing if he's totally good. For now, my dad's okay. He's been out of the hospital for like 2 days. And yeah, so basically I'm the one that's taking care of him when it comes to like changing the gauze and looking at how the incisions are behaving, I guess. But yeah, nothing serosanguinous or anything. So there's a lot of like directions this can go into, like the healthcare, the date and whatnot. Actually, when I was driving to the hospital when I was picking my dad up, apparently California is working for another one-payer system again, so I'm hoping that's the case since they want to put on the next ballot for the presidential election, because that's when the most voters go to vote. I don't know, I feel like with such a progressive state and there's so many like wonderful, brilliant minds out here, there has to be like that one step that the whole state will take to figure things out, because it's just way too complicated nowadays. The whole fairness of it all. Let's start with the whole surgical procedure of it. This is gonna get super like nerdy and stuff, but anyways, so when I got home from work and I saw his like whole surgery pack, information pack, it tells you the surgical procedure, and it was supposed to be a laparoscopic partial colonoscopy. But then when I saw my dad in the ICU and the surgeon came to like talk to him and check up on him, he told me how it ended up being a open incision and like full-on partial colonoscopy, and how like since he spent an hour with the laparoscope looking for the tumors and what the traces of it, he ended up like having to just do an open incision on his lower abdomen and finding where the tumor is, and then how like he had to take part of the abdominal wall because he wanted to make sure there was no traces of tumor left, and then he had to send that to the pathologist. And then there was like how he told me like how since his colon was so impacted with feces that like the surgery wasn't the most sterile, since like poop was basically gushing out of his intestines. And yeah, so with all that aside, when I saw my dad, he had no like infection, so no like sepsis and anything. He had a lot of antibiotics given IV, and then a lot of the stuff that happened in the hospital was a lot of basically review for me, because I am basically a nurse, but just not for humans, which was another like revelation when I went to the hospital, because I basically saw the nurses and the nursing assistants like chlorhex my naked old dad, and like, yeah, it was I can't do that. Like administering drugs rectally and stuff, that's not me. I don't know, I feel like just because I'm so used to seeing animals, that because animals don't wear clothes, I'm fine with it, but it's different for people. And yeah, so anyways, a lot of my nursing education was like brought into the forefront, because I don't know if it was just normal for the doctor to talk to me in that way. And he's talking about like how he was concerned for his kidney function because his urine output wasn't coming out as a normal like post-op patient would come out. So I was like, oh, it must be from all the vomiting, because he vomited the morning of the surgery. And then he like told me how like no one told him that, but I totally remember them telling the person who was taking these like vitals down like for beforehand, before the surgery. I assume it's for calculations for drugs, but I'm not sure. But anyways, the surgeon didn't know that he vomited, so he thought it was either like poor kidney function or he was severely dehydrated. So I was assuming the latter. It was a little concerning when I saw his urine collection bag then the second day when he was in ICU, because it was kind of red. So I was like, I knew this was hematuria, but no one's telling me anything. So yeah. And then the day of the surgery, I was like, I know he's supposed to take the metronidazole and the neomycin to like contain the bacteria for surgery, but I don't know if he was supposed to take it all or not, or if he did at all. And he was given like laxatives, but since his like, I don't know, he was so ill that he couldn't really poop, so apparently all the poop goes out through vomit, since it's not going out rectally. Yeah, this is a lot. I don't know if this is like a normal thing for people when they're in the hospital, but apparently in like Asian families, like you're supposed to literally sit with the patient for like hours on end, and you can't even go home and sleep, which I thought was stupid, because there's all these staff around. Why do I have to like not sleep and sit on this chair for like the entire night when I could just come back in the morning? So my mom ended up having to like do it because no one else would want to do it. And then my like girl cousin, who like said, well, you exercise so much, how can your stomach's big? And that was like a big insult to me, but that's beside the point. But she was like, when I did this with my dad, it was like, no one does anything. I was like, yeah, because his vitals are fine. The machines aren't beeping, so there's no reason for them to come check on him. And then after that, when my dad was moved from ICU to a regular like room, I still had to like get asked if I could stay overnight. And I was like, I just sat here for like over 8 hours. I want to go home. Why would I want to stay here for another 8 hours sitting on his chair uncomfortably, because I can't do anything here besides sit there and watch my dad not shit his pants? So yeah. Wait, he didn't even have pants on. He had like drapes. So shit his bed. Apparently like his surgery was like over 5 hours, because my mom said he went in at like 3 in the afternoon, and when she came home at like 8 o'clock to like eat really quick and go back, she said it wasn't even done yet. So that's pretty wild, because when I learned in school was the more longer they're under anesthesia, the longer recovery is. And then like when my dad was in ICU and I watched like the nurses rotate, and then I'm like watching them move my dad, because like one of the instructions from the doctor is that he should be walking around and sitting up so he doesn't get like bed sores, I think. but also to like get his circulation running. I'm sure to like circulate the white blood cells so he doesn't get infection and stuff. And then like his EKG leads, I think he still has one on, so I don't know why like it's still there. I don't know if the nurse missed it or something. I was like, I don't know if I should take this off or just leave it there. And now he has like an EKG lead right here, like to attach it. I'm like, oh, what was I talking about? But anyways, it was like 1 surgery day, 2 days in ICU, and then like another 2-ish days in regular care without the EKG attachment and what is it, like blood transfusions and whatnot. I know he had one like blood transfusion because it's not a blood bag, but other than that, he was like, can you hear those children? It was like super tiring because I would like come home at like 9 o'clock, and when I'm done eating and showering, it's already like midnight, and I had to like wake up and go back. It also doesn't help that my brother doesn't really do anything unless he's told to, and when he's told to, he like gets all like bitchy about it and like shows that he obviously doesn't want to do it, but he just doesn't say anything, which is stupid. But yeah, he was forced to stay overnight for 2 of the nights. I hope he like reflected on how he behaves, but I don't know. But yeah, so he got out on Saturday morning basically, so I was at the gym and I basically was only at the gym for 1 hour, and my mom texted me for once back. I usually text her and it's like in poor Chinese, and I got this like whole like sentence in Chinese back. I was like, whoa. And because usually I just send her texts and then she doesn't even read them. She like sees the message and then she just swipes it off and doesn't read the whole thing. And I was like, okay. And then I went to the hospital and they knew that the RN, well, while we're on the subject of RNs, I know there's a ton of hot RNs on social media, but I didn't even see one this whole time I was there. I'm disappointed. But anyways, he knew, my mom and dad knew the RN there was Korean, and he was like the only boy one my whole time there. And when it was time to go, my dad and mom would randomly went like 감사합니다 at him, and it was really cute and embarrassing at the same time. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that. So after their cute little goodbye, the CNA, so certified nursing assistant, was pushing my dad in a wheelchair to the front of the hospital so I can like load him in the car, and they gave her a red envelope. She's Latina. I didn't even know that until I got home. But yeah, so a lot of it now is just me making sure my dad doesn't shit his pants, and then during my last couple of days at the hospital, it was like me lifting him up because his abdominal incision is like literally like a bunch of staples and then an artificial belly button and then like a fuck ton more staples. And there's also like a hole on the side, I'm assuming for the laparoscope. I'm making sure those aren't like infected and changing the gauze after he showers every time. So that's something. Most recently, my mom was like telling my dad, because she was basically the one who spent the most time with him at the hospital, and she's like, I finally told him, like, now you know how I feel, huh? Because when my brother was born, he was born via cesarean, and she had to have like a weak abdomen and sit up all the time and nurse my brother without my dad ever helping her. And then now it's like, now you know how I feel. So yeah, that's how my parents are. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. Dad's okay. I don't know if all of the tumor was removed. That's what the doctor said he hoped he had done. Now it's just time for him to heal up, and hopefully he like makes healthier choices. So my week has been pretty wild since I didn't have like a proper dinner and stuff for a while. I haven't been sleeping really well either because I had to like sit at the hospital all the time and then come home all late and then go back to the hospital in the mornings. after I work out. So I'm actually gonna go back to doing my back and biceps tomorrow morning because I only did half of it that morning. Went to go pick up him from the hospital because my mom had texted me at that time. It's kind of wild because I never thought that like things would happen so soon, because since I work with kids, I've seen things happen. Like this student's mom had a stroke. This other student's dad had a stroke and then fell into a coma and is in life support and hasn't ever gotten better. And then there's like, oh, this student's mom died of breast cancer. And then it's like, when will the time come? And it's probably like, oh my gosh, my dad might die very soon. And then, yeah, it's a lot to take in. And then, I don't know, does anyone else have like this thing where you feel like you barely reached adulthood and now you have to take care of your parents? Is that just me? I don't know. I guess that's how I'll end it. I'm hoping I hope I make sense as I'm editing this, and it's not all just mumble jumble. But that's it. I'll update with more. It's probably gonna be PeteCast for the whole like 2 weeks probably. And Valentine's Day and my 31st birthday is coming up. It's crazy. Time's flying by too fast. I also got a mail from my school saying that I'm pending for my diploma to get sent, and it's gonna be official when I get an official mail about having that degree. So it's like, I finished this literally 2 months ago. It's so damn slow. So yeah, good thing I didn't freaking sign up for the VTNE, which I was doing this whole time when I was there. Was literally like highlighting all the answers to this like study book. I only didn't finish this one, but like I finished diagnostic imaging, medical calculations, surgical nursing, hospital management, anesthesiology, like all animal nursing. I finished like all of it during my stay at my dad's hospital. I'm kind of glad I did, but at the same time, it was so boring there, man. And then while I was there, like I saw how bored my dad was. I was like, I knew he liked listening to the radio, so I'd like literally like find an app that had Chinese radio on it and bring my headphones all the time and then shove it in his ear. I'm so thoughtful. So yeah, I hope that wasn't too boring. So next time,